Let me show you how to create some fun effects on Photoshop. I'm going to show you how to create a halftone and also how to create a gradient. So let's start with the halftone first. So when you're here, click on Create New, and I'm going to use 8.5 by 11, 72 pixels per inch horizontal format. And I'm going to use the same orange. But you feel free for your homework, you don't have to use fruit, you can use whatever you want. And some objects that have higher contrast and colors actually work better for halftones. And here what I'll do is I'm first going to cut it out, copy it, paste it, delete this layer. And for halftones, you actually have to switch your image mode from RGB to grayscale first. I'll ask you about flattening it. You can flatten it, it doesn't matter. And then you have to go to bitmap. And when you go to bitmap, you can keep this at 72 pixels per inch. It's important that on your method, it is at halftone screen. Press OK. And here you can play around with these numbers a bit. So frequency is how close the lines are to each other or how close the dots are. And the angle is the angle of the whatever it is. So let's say we want the frequency to be 40 and it to be a line. Let's see what happens. So here we go. And now you're probably like, okay, now you kind of have this halftone thing going on. And remember my example, I had color on it. Right now it's only black and white. There's actually no gray. If you zoom in, it's black and white. And how you add the color back into here is you can't do that like by clicking the colors here. You can see because right here, even though you have red selected, it's actually gray. So what you have to do is you have to go back into the image mode and then grayscale it, press OK, and then go back to RGB. And now you can add color to it, and you know you can because this turned red. So what I would do now is I'll select this again, copy it, paste it, and I want a white background. So what I did was I created a new layer. I'll make it white. The Command Delete is the keyboard shortcut for bringing in the white color from the back. And then what I do now is say that I want this orange to be an orange color. So I need to first create a new layer, pick the orange that I want. If I don't like this one, of course, I can make it a bit more orangey by adjusting it myself. Remember to bring in this color, it's Option Delete. So now what I do is I pull in the color into here like this. Remember the clipping mask this way, and one way to do it without pressing Option and clicking between the lines is if you right click onto here. I know I didn't show you this last time. I want you to know the keyboard shortcut because it's easier. You can actually press Create Clipping Mask, and it does the same thing. So from here, you're like, okay, now I can't see the shapes. So you would press Screen, and now you have an orange halftone. So if I wanted to make it a double exposure, like the example I showed you, I'm just going to duplicate this. You can duplicate by pressing Command J or clicking and dragging into the plus sign. And here, let's say I want to make this one a different color. Let me first move this a bit, and I want to make it blue. Same thing, Command Delete. Now it's blue, but you can tell that it's not see-through. So what I would do to change that is I'll go to this layer here, and first I can play around with it. So if I press multiply, the two colors together kind of creates this nice green. So I like how that third color is formed, so maybe I'll keep it here. So this is how you create halftones and add colors to the halftones. And now we're kind of delving into playing with the blend modes here. So I opened Photoshop and I put in some basic information on this one. So you can feel free to put whatever you want on your posters. And I just put in some text relating to this class. And what I remember last time I said when I select colors, I use the eyedropper tool and I want to make the colors look more consistent because these colors are very limited in my opinion. So what I did was I went online and found a gradient that I liked, and I found this one, so I'm going to bring it in. So in order for me to make a gradient shape, what I did was I created a new layer, used the eyedropper tool, selected some colors that I liked, and then I used the gradient tool here, circular gradient, and kind of like started to paint in a gradient. So maybe I want to add some blues. And in order to kind of really see what you're doing, you might have to turn this layer off. And now maybe I want to add some purples. And if the colors are not what you're looking for, you obviously can make it brighter by adjusting it manually, like that. And maybe I want a bit more blue. This one's nice. So now you're here and you're like, okay, how do you make the gradient look more swervy? And we're actually going to use the liquify tool here. Filter, liquify. And here you can kind of move around these colors like this. Ooh, kind of looks like when there's oil in water. Yeah, it's just make it look cool. There's no right answer. Press OK. Yeah, there we go. Now it kind of looks like this swervy gradient. And you can make it manually like this, but sometimes you can also use the image that you have, right? So you would break the smart object by pressing the eraser and rasterizing it this way. Or you can also go here, right click, rasterize layer. You see the sign is gone. And then go to filter, liquify. Same thing here. Okay. So it's obviously hiding the D too much for me, so I'm going to make it go all the way to the back. Drag it down. And maybe I'll keep this layer at the front. And what I did in the previous poster is I actually brought out the D a bit more. So what I did was I clicked on this layer at the top, and I wanted to mask some of it out, mask some of this ink out. So what I did was I clicked on the mask, and it's obviously the shape of the D that I want to mask out. So if I go down, press Command and press this T, it actually selects the text. So if I, for instance, wanted to somehow do it on here, on the visual design part, I could do that. Anywhere I select, it's going to create this squiggly line masking around it. So when I go back here, that means that whenever I color, it's just going to get rid of the color inside this line. So on the mask layer, remember black is to cover it. So let me see. Maybe I want to cover it here. So like here. Maybe I want the D to be showing like that. It's sort of like painting. You just pick where you want it to fully show and cover it. Maybe I want to bring this back, so I can do that by pressing X and making it white. Like so. No, actually, I want it gone. So now I'm gonna get rid of it. So there you go, and if I press Command D, it's deselected, but it also looks a little bit more 3D-esque. So that's how you create a gradient poster that looks like this.